Starrcade.83, the night Ric Flair became the man. It's remembered as a legendary passing of the torch. But what if the real story wasn't about a torch? What if it was about money, power, and the sheer terror of a wrestling war that was about to explode? This is the story of how a group of old-school promoters, spooked by Vince McMahon's impending national takeover, convinced their toughest champion to lay down for a new golden boy, and changed wrestling forever. In early 1983, professional wrestling was like a patchwork kingdom. It was a collection of territories, each with its own ruler, all flying the banner of the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. And the king of that entire kingdom, the man holding the 10 pounds of gold, was handsome Harley Race. He was a throwback, a legitimate tough guy who commanded respect in every locker room he walked into. As a 7-time world champion, Race was the NWA's anchor, a symbol of rugged, no-nonsense Southern wrestling. But a storm was gathering up north. A young, hungry promoter named Vince McMahon Jr. had taken over his father's company, the World Wrestling Federation. Vince didn't just want his piece of the kingdom. He wanted the whole empire. His vision was a national promotion that would stomp out the territory system. He was building a new kind of wrestling, a vibrant, marketable world of sports entertainment. The NWA promoters, especially Jim Crockett Promotions, saw the writing on the wall. They knew the national expansion was coming. They realized that competing in this new era would be tough with their aging traditional champion, no matter how respected he was. They needed their own icon. They needed someone with the charisma, the look, and the talent to carry their flag into a national war. They already had him on the roster, Ric Flair. Flair was a proven headliner and a former champion, but they needed to strap the rocket to his back for the long term. The plan was simple but audacious. Create a supercard, an event so massive it would plant the NWA's flag as a national force. An event that would end with their chosen champion standing tall. They called it Starrcade. The whole show was designed to re-establish Ric Flair as the undeniable man. But there was just one problem. To crown a new king, you have to convince the old one to give up his throne. And Harley Race wasn't about to just hand it over. Harley Race just didn't think Ric Flair was ready. He saw the Nature Boy as all flash, maybe not tough enough to carry the NWA World title through the grueling war that was coming. But the promoters insisted. This was about survival. So, they put a plan in motion to make Flair's eventual win feel like the biggest moment in wrestling history. First, on June 10, 1983, Harley Race beat Ric Flair for the title, starting his 7th reign. This wasn't just a title switch, it was the first act of an epic drama. Then, Race, playing the perfect villain, did something that set the entire wrestling world on fire. He put a $25,000 bounty on Ric Flair's head. The first person to put Flair out of wrestling for good would get the cash. Suddenly, this wasn't just a rivalry, it was a hit. In August, the bounty was seemingly collected. Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. and Dick Slater viciously attacked Flair, delivering a spike piledriver that, in storyline, nearly broke his neck and forced him to retire. For weeks, Flair was gone. The stage was perfectly set for a heroic return. On September 21st, he stormed back with a baseball bat, hungry for revenge against Orton and Slater. But his real target was the man who ordered the hit, Harley Race. The collision course was set for a steel cage showdown at Starrcade. The story was perfect. Behind the scenes, though, another drama was playing out. And this is where the legend gets really wild. The story goes that just days before Starrcade, Vince McMahon invited Harley Race to dinner. He made him an offer, a rumored $250,000, plus a weekly salary, to simply not show up to Starrcade, walk away from the NWA, and bring that iconic NWA belt with him to the WWF. It was a bold play that could have crippled Jim Crockett Promotions. According to Race's own account, he was a man of his word. He told Vince he had to be able to look himself in the mirror the next day, and for that reason, he couldn't do it. With Race's loyalty confirmed, the path to Greensboro was clear. The reluctant king had finally agreed to abdicate. Thanksgiving night, 1983. The Greensboro Coliseum was absolutely electric. Over 15,000 fans were screaming, and thousands more watched on closed-circuit TV across the South. Starrcade wasn't just another show. It was the NWA firing its first major shot in the wrestling wars. From the brutal dog collar match between Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine to the tag team title change, everything was building to this one moment. The future of Crockett Promotions, Race's legacy, and Flair's ascension were all on the line. Inside that steel cage, the story would find its climax. Harley Race came out first, the stoic champion, showered with boos. Then, the challenger. Ric Flair, the hometown hero, emerged to a deafening roar. It felt like destiny. The match was a 24-minute masterpiece of old-school storytelling. It wasn't about flips and high spots. It was a gritty, bloody war. Race was a methodical machine, punishing Flair and constantly targeting his injured neck, trying to prove the younger man couldn't hang. Flair, the fiery hero, fought from underneath, soaking up the beating and firing back with pure, desperate intensity. The special guest referee, former champion Gene Kiniski, just added to the chaos, getting in the way and seemingly helping the villainous Race. But as the match wore on, the tide slowly turned. Race got cocky and just couldn't put the resilient Flair away. The final moments are iconic. With both men battered, Flair did the one thing he was famous for never doing successfully. He climbed to the top rope, but on this night, things were different. He flew through the air and hit a crossbody that sent Race to the mat. 1, 2, 3. The place exploded. Ric Flair had done it. The scene in the ring was pure chaos. Babyfaces poured into the cage to hoist their new champion onto their shoulders. This wasn't just a title win, it was a coronation. The victory made him a true superstar and cemented his place as the face of the NWA. Harley Race had played his part to perfection. His real-life reluctance and his dominant performance in the ring made Flair's victory feel absolutely massive. He passed the torch, not because he was finished, but because he was a true champion securing the future of the business he loved. This match was the end of Race's era as the NWA's top guy, and the official beginning of Flair's legendary run as the Man. The success of Starrcade '83 proved the NWA could create a spectacle. It became their flagship event, the granddaddy of them all, built around their new king, Ric Flair. So the real reason Harley Race let Flair beat him, it wasn't just one thing. It was a calculated business decision made under the pressure of a looming promotional war. It was about creating a new, more marketable star for the fight ahead. The passing of the torch was real, but it was anything but simple. It was a drama cooked up for TV, a tense backstage negotiation, and a professional duty fulfilled by one of the greatest of all time. It was the moment the old-school wrestling world acknowledged a new era was here, and they had just crowned the king who would lead them into it. If you enjoyed this look into wrestling history, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And let us know in the comments, what iconic wrestling moment should we break down next? That cage match at Starrcade '83 was more than just the end of a feud. It was a snapshot of a business on the brink of war. A clash between the tradition of the territories and the national ambition of a marketing powerhouse. Harley Race's decision to do the honors was an act of loyalty and business savvy that didn't just secure his own legacy, it created a new one in Ric Flair. It was a single night that drew the battle lines for the rest of the decade and changed wrestling history forever.